So, people of Jamaica, I did a video yesterday, and in that video, I talked about Isaac Buchanan telling the Jamaican people they must chop the government, meaning they must scam the government. And for those of you who haven't seen that video, check it out on YouTube, or check it out on my Facebook reels. In that video, Isaac Buchanan is telling people, say, yo, them, you know what? Go and, if you have a bed foot, broke off the bed foot and carry, because the government must give you a free house. And carry it to the government and show them they're going to lose bed. Chop the line. Now, everybody know that in typical Jamaican parlance, chop the line means scamming. So here is an officer of the court, a lawyer, telling people to break the law by committing fraud so they can receive taxpayers' money. Now, sometimes, a lot of us, because of our circumstances, we have this feeling that, government is supposed to provide us with everything. Well, that's not the job of government. Government is supposed to create opportunities for people and infrastructure. But the primary role of government is the security of the nation. That's the primary role of any government. Contrary to what you may hear in the public space. But you also may have seen the fishman, dressing in full pink like in an exercise machine. I don't want to misrepresent the facts. Seemed like he was on an exercise machine. And while he's on the machine, he was talking about the people in Trelawny who lost their homes through a court-ordered removal. Now, one of the things that I saw him saying, he was talking about dirt for dirt. Not sure what that means, because he's saying that the police locked up the men, and then the demolition was carried out. Of course. Well, police have a duty to perform. So if these men are going to create problems, I don't know about locking them up from a legal standpoint. I'll leave that to the legal eagles. But the police have a right to ensure, at least to ensure, that there's no crime being committed when that process is being carried out. Now, let me just say this, and I've said this in the video yesterday. My heart goes out to the people who actually lived on the captured land, but they ought to have known and they were warned that they had to go. And I understand the difficulties inherent in that. But the owners of the land had a court order that allowed them to demolish any illegal structure on their property, whether we like it or not. And so the argument from Fishman that that those people have some legal right and dirt for dirt, so and he kept talking about how government should have stepped in and how Tova Hamilton or whatever her name is, the MP for the area, should have done something to prevent it. So people, this is the kind of situation that the country is in, where we have a twice convicted drug dealer who got all kinds of corrupt leeway to land him where he is in our sacred parliament. Now, insisting that the people who lost their homes are somehow victims. And he's talking about justice under the Constitution and all of that. But here is what he's not telling you. And he also mentioned the adverse possession law, which I have consistently said need to be repealed. Even under the adverse possession law, those people still would have no claim to the property. They would not. Go look up the adverse possession law. In fact, look at what I said about the adverse possession law in the previous video I did, if you're interested. If you're interested in getting the facts. So what the fishman is actually doing with his gangster talk is two things: posturing for popularity and pandering to the people who lost their homes. It's called pandering. And at the same time, he's posturing. He never once spoke to the question. And I want you to understand this. In the whole scheme of things, I want you to understand this. He never once spoke to the illegality of building homes on land that does not belong to the people who built those homes. And so, by his argument, the deduction has to be that as long as you build a home on land that is not yours and you make it a permanent structure, then you are entitled to that land. And if you are told to move through the judicial system, that you have to move because you don't own the land, then somehow you are entitled to a home being built for you with taxpayers' money by the government. And you should get more things like furnishings and everything in that relocation process. And so what that would amount to is rewarding bad behavior, rewarding criminal conduct. That's what the Sprat does not tell you about. And he's there with all his gangster talk like he's a gangster. The only thing he never talked about is picking up a weapon to defend it against the police. And there he goes again talking about the police in the derogatory way that he usually does. This guy is a menace to society. He is a menace to society, positioning himself as some kind of savior to the poorest of the poor and the criminals. He has no respect for the rule of law. And so I hope that the General Legal Counsel that allowed him to be in this position is paying attention, because they screwed up when they allowed him at the bar, twisted the rules and allowed him at the bar. I hope they're paying attention and are going to be willing to put a stop to his behavior. This guy is not a lawyer. He's a criminal. He's a facilitator of criminality. He's a proponent of criminal conduct. This guy is literally out and out telling people to commit crimes because based on his concept of what is justice, they can take land, build on it, and it becomes theirs. And if somebody, the owner of the land, wants them removed, then that owner will have to wait. And in the event that they are forced to leave the property, then it's up to the government now to provide them with a home. People, that's what he's not telling y'all. He's not addressing that. So what he does, he comes over, it's like you build there's an old house and you go in and put some wallpaper on the rotten walls and you sell it, you're selling it as a new home, structurally sound. But it's not structurally sound. So even though he's an attorney at law, he's proliferating this flawed argument that somehow those people, unfortunate as their circumstances are, have a right to taxpayer-funded homes that basically that they should be paid for their acts of unlawful behavior. Yeah, a lawyer, and that's his argument. It's a flawed argument, but that's what the PNP represents. That's what the PNP represents, and there are others in that party telling people that, hey, Even if the court issues an order, you don't have to abide by it. Because you know what? The other two branches of government, the executive and the legislative, should step in to prevent the carrying out of a lawful court order. That's not the society Jamaica was created to be. It's not the society Jamaica is created for. And nobody will bell the cat, this lunatic cat, this fish. Nobody will bell it. So he's threatening people, cursing people, as if somebody is afraid of him. Yeah? Literally threatening people like a gangster, because he wants to be the spokesperson for the gangster community in our country. Now, the Jamaican people, you have to make a choice. You have to make a choice whether you want to live in a country of laws or you want to live in a country where the rules only apply when the PNP want them to apply. If you want to live in a country in which the laws are dictated by a twice convicted drug mule, or you want to live in a country in which the laws are respected and everybody is treated fairly. Because it's only under those circumstances that our country is going to move forward. I'll see you on the next deep dive.